Hey everyone, it's Spiky Palana once again. Now, I assume most of you know this deck by now since I've done so many videos on it, so let's hop straight into one of the many fun games I had on jinteki.net that I couldn't show off previously because I was preparing for regionals. This is Andromeda, my opponent, and I'm keeping a very sweet hand. No ice, so I might get siphoned early, but a lot of money, so I'm not really too worried about the siphon. Now, I had two choices here. I could cred up to 15 credits with the restructure, or I could go for the Christian play. I guess the Christian play was more risky because a siphon here would put me out of restructure range for a long time after he trashes the siphon. But nope, she goes for the laundry on HQ, trashes the Christian here, and accesses the restructure, playing the Pollock. So that's a very good first turn for my opponent. Got Desperado out, got Dirty Laundry, killed the Christian Grid, and got the Pollock down, most importantly. So Caprice is kind of neutered, at least the first copy. Now he raised my hand, he sees the restructure, not the shock, not the snare, it had to be the restructure. So she knows I'm going to be very rich. I already have played two restructures for 20 credits, a third one is coming along. Shock, yeah. Okay, that shock hit the special order, pretty good stuff. Now, Cobra comes in, Fun comes in. Gosh, this is a very rich opening. Unfortunately for me, there's no ice. Cobra isn't really ice. It's not gonna do much right now, so I rather keep it in hand and wait to see whether I can place it on a better server. Lack of ice is very dangerous, not only because my opponent's getting very good Desperado odds here, getting a lot of efficiency out of that. More importantly, I can't score agendas, and I cannot defend myself from a count siphon. So Crick comes in, I'm going to Crick up R&D. Since she's not siphoning me these early turns, I assume that either she's not running it or she hasn't found it yet, so I'm more or less happy to let her have R&D because there's a snare in it, she hit the snare. Ooh, sweet. She's forced to clear the tag, and now I can try to put something on HQ maybe. Yes, I find a second Crick. After R&D is protected, HQ's next. So you see me doing this a lot. Crick going on centrals before archives, which is really weird. And she hits a shot on archives for another net damage. So no more free credit and card anymore. As I was saying, Crick is more often than not placed on centrals because you really love the fact that it's especially because my opponent trashed the Christian Grid. The last thing she wants is for me to res a Crick against her and have the Christian Grid come back to life. Now, unfortunately, that fast opening was met with a very bad flood. I mean, it has to be expected. I'm starting to draw through half my deck, so all the agendas are starting to swarm up. I have 8 points in my hand and a Philotic in the remote. Now, I can score the Philotic this turn. It's not going to do any damage, and I just don't see the point of it, especially because I don't want to chuck any of the cards in my hand. So Ichi goes on HQ immediately because she has her breaker set up. I cannot let her access HQ. She starts security testing, which gets past the double shock in archives, so I'm definitely thinking of icing archives here, but the wraparound needs to go on the remote. I find a third Crick. Okay, so that's my ticket. The Crick goes on the remote. At this point, my opponent doesn't suspect that there's an agenda in the remote at all. It has been the Philotic has been sitting there for a couple turns now. She is showing absolutely no intent on running it, and I'm actually fine for her to run it. Actually, I want to fire the Cobra on her and trash one of her programs. That would really cripple her. I do have a Betty Cobra in the remote, so I'm in no hurry to score the agenda here, but I finally do. And I ditched the celeb gifts because I don't want to show her my flooded hand, and I'm very rich anyway. I found all the restructures early. I think 29 credits is enough for the rest of this game. So basically, my remote at this point is protected by the one Betty in the remote. It's actually pretty good protection. That Betty can easily cripple my opponent, who is now rebirthing into Leela Patel. So now we're up against Leela Patel. You have to respect the fact that she can bounce, so I need to double advance my Niseis. Speaking of Niseis, that's going to be the next thing on my bucket list, to score a Nisei. My opponent is hammering R&D. I'm more than happy with that. That's still two snares in there, not many agendas, most of them fetals. So, Jackson Howard comes along. Jackson Howard's not very good. Jackson Howard can get killed by Pollock. Gotta think of that. So the Nisei is more important. The Nisei goes in the remote. She can easily get through my remote. But if she loses a side game, she's gonna be in a lot of trouble. She first hits R&D, which is a smart thing to do here. If she finds an agenda, she bounces my Nisei, and that's bad. She doesn't. So now she has to think of a plan B. What's she gonna do? Well, in the meantime, she is getting sec testing money. Oh, she's not actually accessing R&D at this point, sorry. She is sec testing R&D, getting which regenerates her credits, gains her an extra card from Masanori, and gets her a turning wheel counter. Now that is pretty decent. Well, I don't care, I'm scoring that Nisei Mark II. I'll let her bounce an ice, and I'll replenish the ice with my final click. So yeah, she is gaining some ground with the sec testing Masanori turning wheel combo. It's actually pretty good because I don't have the most ice, but I'm still gaining ground. That Nisei Mark II is really gonna help out. So she bounces HQ ice. So I'm obviously gonna reinstall the HQ ice. Question is, do I install the Ichi or the wall static? I think it's no question. You install the Ichi. It's so taxing on Mongoose. And I sneakily ditch a Fetal in the bin, knowing that there's a crit on Archives. She's probably never gonna run it proper. Now I'm going to tax her heavily. The Ichi forces the fairy, and the crit forces 3 credits from Passport, bringing her down to 3 credits and making it a very perfect time to use Nisei Mark II. This deck, be very liberal with using your Nisei Mark II, unless you know that's the only way you're going to score an agenda in your remote. Maybe because they're consummate Pollock or something. Otherwise, always be liberal with your Nisei Mark II. Using it to stop a siphon is good. Using it to stop any cutlery is good. Just be liberal with it. You can definitely afford to spend Nisei tokens with Betties and Caprices to back you up. Now I'm thinking of scoring the next Nisei. Is it safe to do so? Probably. She's only on 1 credit with 6 KD money. It's probably a good time to go. You'd have to respect the turning wheel though. She can easily get 4 R&D accesses if she wants. Still, I ignore that completely, willfully ignore that, and go for the score on the remote. Knowing that I've expanded my Nisei counter, I'm going to further ice up my remote with the Wall of Static. In retrospect, maybe the Wall of Static on R&D would have been a better call, because now she's going to expand all her counters to see a bunch of cards of R&D and potentially bounce my Nisei. She accesses a Betty, steals the Fetal, yep, that bounces my Nisei. That is not very good. Except that she forgot to bounce my Nisei. Whoops! Whoopsie daisy. Well, too bad. I'm gonna score the Nisei. But yeah, that Wall of Static definitely should have gone on R&D. In retrospect, seeing turning wheel in action, you know you have to respect the fact that Leela can at any time access a bunch of cards and stop you from scoring in your otherwise secure remote. So that Wall of Static should have gone R&D. But now we remember that the Leela bounce when I score the Nisei, and she decides to bounce the Betty. At this point, the Ichi is not going to do me much good. It'll be really nice on R&D, not gonna lie, but the single crit is holding up really well. A 3 credit tax each time she comes in. That is not cheap. I'm shutting her out of sec testing, and yeah, Passport is just not very well equipped to deal with Niseis. Sorry, not very well equipped to deal with Crick. For 1 res, having to tax the Passport for 3 credits is pretty insane. I love Crick so much. Alright, upgrade goes on R&D here, because why not? And I find a Jackson Howard, so that goes in the remote. I am ready to score my final agenda at this point. It can be a Fetal AI, and I'm almost certainly going to make it a Fetal AI. The problem is that we require install double advance. I wanted to get the Betty in this turn, because that's the only thing I have protecting the server along with the Mark II token. And don't forget, she can still siphon me anytime, so we have to be aware of that. Now, this is the time to go scoring that Fetal. Now that I have the Betty and the Nisei Mark II token, the Fetal is very good to score. More importantly, I can conceivably flatline my opponent if she's not careful. With a combination of Nisei Mark II token and Betty, I can make her run twice, and that potentially allows me to ping her for enough damage for her to flatline. Now, she performs an inside job here, going down to 4 cards, so I'm thinking of a way to allow Cobra to fire 3 times that 2 net damage subroutine. Well, first we have to win the side game. Let's play the Betty side game. I bid 1, my opponent bids a 0. I'm going to trash a program. I'm trashing the Mongoose here, which means that she doesn't have any breakers to break the Cobra. So that's a very logical thing to do. This allows me to then fire the Cobra, trashing Corroder and dealing 2 net damage, which trashes another Corroder from her hand. She lost both Corroders. Well, that's it. And I stopped the run with Nisei Mark II. She's not going to get into the server again unless she has an inside job. If she does, she's going to flatline to net damage. So her only out right here is R&D. Hopefully bounce something. Yep, she finds her food. But she forgets to bounce my agenda again. Oh, so many misplays. That Leela ability trigger would definitely have changed the course of the game. Don't forget your triggers, people. Still, my opponent's deck seemed pretty strong. Sec testing plus Mercenary plus Turning Wheel is pretty insane, but it's always so vulnerable to Betty, which makes Palana all that much better. Well, that's all for the game. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the screw ups, but still, enjoy your net running. Goodbye.